Hello everyone! Today I'm going to start showing you how to build my Monsters Inc. world, which you saw in the previous episode. This world consists of two toy boxes, the outdoor city of Monstropolis and the Monsters Inc. factory interior. And I know many of you are probably eager to get to the build for the factory interior, and the scare floor in particular, but I'm going to begin with the city of Monstropolis. If you only want to build the scare floor, then you can build the factory interior by itself as a standalone toy box. But I'm going to show you how to build both of my toy boxes, so I need to start with the city. Here are a few screenshots from the Monsters Inc. movie that will give you an overview of what we're going to build. This is a picture of the street where Mike and Sully live. Notice the tall buildings along each side of the street and the autumn trees that line the street. At the end of the street, you can see there's a cross street with some tall square buildings on the far side of that street. And in the distant background, you can see a couple of tall buildings with domes. One of the Monsters University buildings looks very similar to that, so that's what I'm going to use for that building. Here's another shot of Mike and Sully's street. The road looks like it's paved with cobblestones, and you can get a closer look at some of the building entrances in this shot. Here are some additional shots of the city that we see as Mike and Sully walk to work. You can see there's a number of nearby coffee shops and stores along the way. And I'm kind of going through these pictures really quick, but we'll take a closer look at them in future episodes. And there are some cross streets where Mike and Sully walk across. And here's a shot of the factory exterior. It's a huge location, but it can't be too far from Mike and Sully's neighborhood if they're walking to work at the start of the movie. So this is most of what we see in the movie, and so my first job in designing a toy box for this place was to come up with a layout that includes all of these areas. And I'm going to begin my build today by laying the foundation for the city. I'm going to put down most of the terrain blocks and the roads, and as we go I'll talk about where everything goes in my layout.
Not bad! Not great, but not bad.
I've been sitting still too long, I guess. And then in the next few episodes we'll get to some of the specific locations from the movie. But let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing we're going to do is put down the sky changer. And we'll set the sky. We're going to go ahead and use the Monsters Inc. sky. Or Monsters University sky. Don't get to use the sky very often, so I think that's a good thing. Alright, let's go ahead and delete this. Now, there's really not a particular way you have to lay out the toy box. Any direction you want to do will do, but I'm going to lay mine out so that the shadows are like you see them there. Alright, and so I'm going to have Mike and Sully's street going directly straight ahead into the background and back towards us, so that the shadows for the buildings will fall the way you see them. And so the orientation that we have here is the correct orientation. When they enter the toy box, I want them facing that way. And for most of the terrain blocks that we're going to put down, we're going to use Dusty Crophopper's runway. It makes a really good sidewalk theme when you put in roads and stuff around it. And I set that to be my theme. Alright, and then we'll start putting down terrain. And let me get to my pictures here. Alright, so we'll begin. The block we started with is going to be Mike and Sully's street, so we're going to build around that. And now we need to put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to go up. For right now, we'll just put in these blocks. I'm going to make a few adjustments here as we go. Go diagonal. so that takes us to there. We're going to go up one more. And then at this point, we're going to go to the next size smaller. We're going to put this on the far end. And we're going to put two of them right here like that. Go back to the larger one. And then go back to the next smallest, and we'll fill in the rest of the blocks here. Alright, so that is it for the lowest level of the toy box. And it's kind of big, but that's alright. Alright, so this is the opposite corner from where we started. So we're going to take this block here. Which again, we got two little ones up here. So we're going to take this one, and I'm going to set the theme to be Monsters University Campus. I'll just apply it. I'm not actually going to set the theme, I'll just apply it. We'll do the same for these two small blocks here. And then we're going to back up straight back from there to the very edge of the toy box. And this block here, we're going to do the same theme. So I'll apply that. And I'll let this fill in just so that you can see where we're going next. Alright, so the next block we're going to look at is this one here, right off the corner of it. This is the same row where our start pad is down there, which you can barely see. But we're going to delete this block. And what we're going to do instead is put in 4 of these next size smaller blocks. If I can get that to sit in there just right. And the reason we're doing that is because we're going to set 2 of these to be the Monsters University terrain theme as well. The other 2 will stay as Dusty Crophopper's runway. And as we go along with the build, you'll see why those areas are different from the rest of the toy box. Okay, this area in this corner is going to be raised up. And one of the reasons for that is because Mike and Sully's street is going to be facing this way. All right? And at the end of the street, as you'll recall from that first screenshot we looked at, there's a cross street that goes this way. There's some square buildings that are on the far side of it. And then above it, we had the building with the domes. And we're going to use, as I mentioned, one of the buildings from Monsters University for that. In order to be able to see those domes over top of the buildings at the far end of the street, we got to raise that building up a little bit. And so we're going to have a second level, a little bit higher level, to put that building on. And so that's why we need to raise that up. Excuse me. But before we can do that, we need to put the roads in. And so let me come over here. We're going to start with this block that we began with. And let me pull up my screen grabs here to make sure we get this correct. Here we go. All right. So the road is going to run right along the terrain scene between these two blocks. Okay. And we're going to put in a few helper blocks to get the road started so we can put it in the right spot, because it has to be positioned precisely or things won't line up the way they need to. Alright, so you're going to put in 2 of those blocks like I just did and 2 of these. And then we go up to the racetrack pieces. And the starting piece goes right here on the corner of that block, just like that, lined up on that terrain seam. And we're going to go ahead and set the theme on the road to be the Monsters University theme. We're going to use that for the entire toy box. Since the toy box has all of these wonderful autumn trees and stuff, this just looks really good because it's got all of the autumn leaves kind of sitting on it. So I really like that. Alright, so now we can take out these helper blocks. And now we can begin building the road. So the first piece that we are going to put down is this very long racetrack start piece. We're going to put 3 of them down, like that. And then we'll go grab the curve. Like that. I'm going to pick this one up and put it back, which gets us back to that part of the drawer and saves us from doing a lot of scrolling. And we'll do that again. And actually, we need to leave room for one more piece here. We need this little spacer piece in so that everything down the road will line up where it needs to go. And then we'll pick this large piece up. And we're going to put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, followed by a long, followed by 2 of those very short pieces. And at this point, we'll grab the curve again, and I think I'll just scroll. Might be quicker than going down to the other end of the toy box to pick that up. Okay. And then we're going to put another very short piece in there. Followed by another turn. And then the split. And at this point, we're going to make the track go wider. Okay. Now, we'll go up to the wide pieces, and we're going to make the track go upward onto our second level. So we're going to use this wide ramp start, followed by this one, followed by that one. And then we'll put in the turn. And for the turn, we're going to use the short, wide track curve. Okay. And then we'll go back to the straight pieces. And we're going to use this long, wide track from here, and we're going to build some bridges that are going to go over our roads below. So we're going to put down 1, 2, 3, 4 of those long, wide pieces. And then another set of ramps to get up a little bit higher. Because again, we need to, we need to get the Monsters University building up high enough. Okay. And, yeah, since we're not too far from that spot in the drawer, we'll just go back to the left. And I'm looking for the medium piece. And then we'll put in our turn. Again, it'll be the short, wide turn. And at this point, we're going to go down, because this gets us up to that level where we got to have the building. Now we're going to go back down. We're going to use the steep ramps for this. We need 2 of those, and then the bottom. And then we'll follow that by the split, and because we would have to scroll a long way to get that, we'll just grab one of these pieces. That gets us back to this point. Alright, so there's our split. Put in our turn. And then we're going to put in a medium piece, followed by our very long piece, followed by another turn. And if we did this right, the end of the turn should line up with the edge of that terrain seam, which is down there by the start, and it does. So now we just need to connect our road. And to do that, we're going to use a couple of small pieces. There's no real clean way to do this. We got to have a few small pieces in here, so I'm going to put them down at this end, away from the start of the road. We'll start next with a long. Put in a couple of these. And then the long piece should fit right in there. Alright, so there are the roads for the toy box. And one more road to put in is the road that Mike and Sully live on, that street. And so for that, let's pick this up. We're going to line this up with the corner of that cross street right there. We need to put 2 of these in, followed by a medium, followed by one of these little short pieces. And there's the street where Mike and Sully live. It's not connected to the racetrack, but it's there. Alright, so now that we know where that is, we can go ahead and finish off the rest of the terrain. And let me get my screen grab up here for this. How are we doing on time? Oh, pretty good. Alright, I think we'll be able to finish off the terrain here. Alright, so if we select this piece, put it down, we're going to grab this little guy and use this as a spacer. And we're going to drop this right here on the corner of that down ramp, right like you see there. And then we're going to use this piece next. That's going to sit in there just like that. Okay. And we're going to put down, let's see, 4 of these. Like that. We'll go to the next size larger. Now this one has to sit right in here, all the way up to where we hit the down ramp. You'll notice the bounding box turns red, so you want to go right to that point. So this is going to sit in there just like that. We're going to put 2 of those in, followed by a couple of these. And don't worry that it's not a nice straight edge over there. By the time we put the buildings down, the player's never going to see that. And then on the next size smaller, we're just going to run a row of these down like that. Okay, and there we go. And you'll notice the blocks here, the longer blocks on the texture run this way. So probably would be a good idea for consistency to go ahead and turn all of these and make sure they're oriented the same way. You can do that yourself for all of the rest of those. And I think these smaller ones are fine. Alright, then we can take out our little helper block. Over here on this corner, let me find my screen grab for that. Yeah. Alright, so for this corner, we're going to put down a few little extra pieces. I can't run it under there, but I can put it right up to the edge. I'm going to put 3 of those down. We're going to put one of these large ones in here. Again, we'll make sure the orientation is right. And now I can't put, well, I guess I can put one of those there. We can do that. We need one here to plug that little gap in that corner. And we need another one of those. Oops. Right here, like that. Alright, so that takes care of that upper area. And when we sit the Monsters Inc., Monsters University building on here with the domes on it, you'll be able to see that over top of the buildings that are going to be lined up along here. So that's good. Okay, next up, we're going to need a couple of blocks under here. And so for that, we can use this. We're going to place this right here underneath that ramp, right along the terrain, right along the road seam. And I'm going to go ahead and set my theme now because I got to put a few of these down. We're going to set it to the Monsters University theme. And that gives us the nice brick theme along the side, which I like. And then we need one of these sitting under here like that. And on the opposite side of the road, excuse me, we're going to do the same thing. So right underneath the terrain seam there, like that. Okay, so you have this one piece of track completely elevated and not sitting on any terrain. All right. And then, let's see. We need a little helper block over here. So right on the corner, right after this turn, we'll put that block down. That's going to sit underneath like that. And you'll notice I left a gap there. Don't worry about that. You'll see why we need that later. Okay, so now that we have those in there, now we can come over to the other side here. And I think it might be best just to measure this out. Let's go ahead and put the base underneath the road. This will not be the final theme for that, but that just tells us the spacing that we need for our bridge. And this piece sits under there like that. Okay, so that is all the brick that we need. Now, if you wanted to, you could leave this brick, but I'm going to change this. And instead, I'm going to use the sights of San Francisco. I really like the way the girder looks on the side of that. That makes sense material-wise for something that would support a bridge. And I set that to be the theme. And we need to put some additional blocks underneath here. Like that. We're going to do the same thing on this side for this bridge. I just really like the way this looks when you get the buildings in there and everything else. It looks really cool. Because from down below, it looks like a steel bridge there. And that's a good thing. All right, and then the last area we need to build is this little raised area over here. So for that, we're going to use these thinner blocks. This one needs to sit right in here and right up against there. And again, you can't go too far or the bounding box turns red. And we'll change the theme on this and put it back to Dusty Crop Hopper's Runway. Okay. And then we'll put another one down over here, like that. We need one of these to kind of plug that gap. And let's see. Yeah, this actually sits out here. We want to bring this out like that to that edge. We don't need this one, just this one. And then we'll pick this piece up, put it back. We'll drop our next one in here, right like that. And we'll put the small one in right over here. Okay, and that's the base for the buildings that will be surrounding this upper area. And by the way, we're going to need a little bit extra terrain over here. Okay, and there we go. Well, I think that's a good stopping point for today. The toy box may not look too exciting right now, but next time we'll start building the street that Mike and Sully live on, and it will start to look much more interesting. You won't want to miss that, so if you have not subscribed to my channel yet or signed up to follow me on my blog, be sure to do that before you leave. Thank you for watching, and have fun playing and building in Disney Infinity.